Right. I think we are ready. Morning, guys. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Let me change the floor. Right. Okay, good. All right, guys. So I have some good news. So we're gonna make up for today. For those of you who came to our class on Saturday. So we had some good presentations. And we ended up staying a bit late. So the good news today is that I think we might be earlier today because our topic is not as heavy, right? So last time we spoke about the walls, and I gave you guys just a little taste of the walls, and then it was up to you to now apply what you learned to your walls. Also, in marking some of the work last week, I realized that some of you have some interesting designs. So some persons even have slant walls. So I'm wondering how are you guys managing with those? Anyway, we can talk about that maybe when we finish. Today we're doing roof and slabs, and I think it's fairly short. All right. All right. And then after that, we are free to go. Right. So let's see. All right. So I see that some of you are trying to catch up. So everybody should be at where they have their walls. Does everybody have their walls? Oh Lord, the dreaded question. Those who have their walls up, show by the thumbs up emoji. Okay, some people. 1%. Anybody else have their walls up? Okay, all right, fine. Those who have foundation and site, thumbs up emoji. Oh wow, okay. So a little bit more. All right. And well, and the rest of you definitely have to play catch up. Right? Now, let's take a look at where we're at. That's a 3D modeling. Yep. Okay, so we are right here. So that means that for you guys, next week we're going to do building stairs and railings. And guess what? These 2 weeks, this week and next week, are going to be soft. So this is an opportunity for you to catch up because floor slabs and roof, that is not a heavy topic. And stairs, railings is not heavy either. Then you have the Heroes Day, so we won't have class on that Monday, right? And then coming up after Heroes Day, we'll be working on custom and building custom objects. And actually, this merge building with site. And then it is due. Wow. Right. So you guys, and then after the let me see. So we have 2 weeks after Heroes Day. Then we're gonna start our studio-based project in week 8. Right? Then checkpoint 4 is gonna be in November. And that is when we're going to be rendering the still images, right? All right, and then checkpoint 5 is going to be November 18th, November 16th. We might actually move this up, guys, because do you know when you're going to get in Final Crit? Or not yet? They don't tell you that yet, right?
So I think it's the 27th of November.
The 27th of November. All right. Yes, so we would want to. It is possible because this is due on December 1st in this initial thing. So we're gonna move these up to avoid your final crit actually. Right? I would say that checkpoint 3 we could collect after the Heroes Day holiday. Right? So right now we're here. Then next week we're dealing with stairs and railing. Then we have Heroes Day, and I want everybody to catch up. Right? Between these 2 weeks and Heroes Day, I want everybody to try and catch up to where we are. And then when we have class the following week now, and that's on the 28th of October, this is when we're gonna move it to. And if we do that, then we can actually start checkpoint 4. We can start checkpoint 4 the following week, and that should avoid the final crit. All right, guys. So look out for this timeline being adjusted. Okay. All right. So that is just taking a look on our timeline. Also, I have gathered some information that would help you guys out. Over here. Again. There we go. Right. All right. So I've put some details here regarding how roof systems work. I will be choosing one of them in the tutorial that we're doing today, but maybe your roof might be a little different, right? So we're going to talk about how do we put on a second floor and how we represent that in 3D. And then we're going to build this roof in 3D.
Sir, you're showing your screen?
Oh, sorry.
Because it's like you're talking and I'm not saying anything, you know?
You're here seeing my face and I'm here. Thank you for telling me. Um, right, here we go. Right. I was saying that I placed some additional detail in our on our mirror board here. And this is about roofs. So this is what we're gonna go through today, but I realized that some of it might have some different designs. So this shows us some of the main components of our roof, and also how we deal with the upper floor as it relates to timber construction, right? How we place the members on top of the studs, and then place the upper floor on top of the finished floor.
So this
And
you want the models that detail.
well, that is something that we're going to talk about as well. Because
Okay.
not necessarily, we don't need it to be as detailed. If you remember when we spoke about level of detail, and we decided that we're not going to go to this photorealistic fidelity where we show every single member, but we're going to go to this one, which is like when we show the major components, right? Even if they may not be exactly where they would be, but we show enough so that we have the major components. So this is where we are showing. So all right, so today we will see that how can we simplify this, right? In the 3D model, and how we can simplify this, and also how we can use some of the tools. All right. So with that said, let us get cracking. Okay, so now that we have our walls and our foundation and our site, next we need to start to work on the upper floor. So if we take a look on our schematic sketch that we had here originally, so we want to create this element here, which is kind of like a overhang, a partial overhang. So we need to add that in, and then we need to add the deck up top, and then go up with our walls up to our all right. Okay, so heading back to our view now. Now, let's see if we can kind of sketch out our objective that we have here, right? So we know that we want that there is an element that comes over here like this. So we do have an element that does something like this, I think. All right, so there's a little overhang there that we had in our sketch. Then the upper floor actually comes all the way out here, perhaps something like that, where it is then mounted to another post that's out here. So this would be our deck here. Then these walls would come straight up. We should have a little space on this side here. And then we should have, this is the balcony. Then we should have a kind of a shed roof that goes up like this. And then it is mounted like here. I know this sketch is probably getting a little confusing, but that's the basic idea that we are aiming for. All right. Okay. I'm going to take a screenshot of this and we will paste it with the rest of our notes here. We'll paste it right beside our previous sketch that we did last time. All right. Okay, so first let us see if we can get this element here. All right. So to get this element here, it's really this wall that extends all the way down, and then it meets up with this wall here. That's really what's happening. So I'll do a shift copy, a alignment, and I'll do another alignment here. Now, of course, we don't want this. We want the wall to actually cut up this side like that. So we are going to use the edit profile, and we are going to draw a profile like that. We're going to trim this up here. All right, so you can see this is the profile of the wall. It does that. All right, so we're going to choose OK. There we go. So we need to do the same thing for this side now. So we need to go to the wall and go to edit profile. Let's align these together. There we go. And we're going to choose OK. We do have a line that is doubled up here. I think it's this one. No? That was that one. Okay, it's okay. We have another double line. Maybe this. Yes, it was that one. Okay, there we go. So we have this now. So now we just need to do the same thing with the profile for this wall here and this wall here. So what we can do is we can actually connect these walls here like that, and then we're gonna edit the profile of those walls. All right, choose OK. We do have an overlap, or maybe it's not touching. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we finished that part. Now we need to do this part. So we're gonna do the same thing, add a wall profile. All right, so now we have this element here. So we can pretty much now do our floor slab on top. Now we plan to have the stair in this corner here. So maybe we'll go up and then bend a corner to go up the stairs. So we'll just keep that in mind for later. Now, before we draw the floor slab, we want to take a look on how the construction of the slab works, right? So if we look at this section here, we can see, right, so we can see that here is our stud wall that we have below. And how it works is that we have these wall plate. In this case, it's a double wall plate. And then you have the floor that's sitting on this wall plate here. And then we have kind of like an outer covering here. So we have this outer member here, and then we have the floor joist pretty much sitting on top of the bottom wall. And then we can mount our walls to the floor of this, which will sit on top of this floor joist here. So this is what we want to use. We want to use this concept, and this is kind of what it would look like in 3D. Now, if you remember our last conversation where we spoke about the different detail levels, now we're kind of going for this one, meaning that we don't need to we don't need to construct every single timber member that would structurally make up this floor. Instead, we're going to just summarize it, and we're only going to put in the major elements here. So with that said, let's continue. Right. So, and the interesting thing is that this assignment has been around for a couple of years, but in different forms, right? It would be fun if I tried to search back for my assignment that I did many years ago. But it was actually in AutoCAD. The building was actually much bigger, and everything had to be modeled. Every single stud member, right? Kaylee, are you here, Kaylee?
Yes, sir.
Right. Did you try out the 3 types of wall modeling?
Yes, sir.
Right. How did you find the one where all the details have to be in, where every single stud had to be modeled?
That was the first one that we did.
Right.
It's not wall, right? Because that one was easier.
Yes, that was the first one.
Okay.
Wasn't that fun?
I mean, it was okay. It wasn't that bad, but I mean, I could see if the building is bigger, like where it could get worse.
Exactly. So, so that is what we used to do, and it used to be this huge building. It would take months, and we had to model every single member and the wall plates. I'm like, wow. Fast forward a few years later, we started to do that, but a smaller building in Revit. And the trick is, and then we have changed it again recently. So you guys are actually doing less work than last year? No, than the year before last year, because we changed it last year. And what we discover is that I think there needs to be more practice, especially when using BIM, of how to summarize a model rather than the opposite of modeling every single element. Because next year when you guys do BIM modeling, you will see that it's almost like you need to plan how you're going to model, knowing that I'm going to overlay details on top of this model. So I'm only going to model the silhouette so that I can now label the models and annotate them. You know what I mean? Rather than trying to model every single element. In a way, modeling every single element is somewhat easier because you're not thinking, you're just saying, I'll just model everything. And then it would take hours. But using up your brain cells, you don't have to use as much brain cells because you're just modeling every member. Now, when you are modeling kind of halfway, when you say, okay, how much do I need to show? Okay, let me only show this member, and the other member I will put in as a 2D box. You know, that takes some amount of mental planning, right? And that is what I want to start teaching you guys how to do, which is why we're not trying to model the whole thing. That's not our objective. And in the real world, yes, you have to know how to model, but when you're modeling out there in BIM, you're really going to model only some of the elements in 3D, some of the major elements. And there's no rule book as to which element is major. It just depends on what you're working on and how you draw. So let's continue.
All right. Now, if you take a look at what is happening for the floor system.
Yes, Gifford, you had a question.
Yes, sir. So you want us to put in the detail items and them stuff as well, right, sir?
Not necessarily, because one of the main differences with 3D modeling and BIM that you'll do next year is that with BIM, you have to put in details. Some of the details are in the form of 2D and some are in the form of 3D. But in this module, you're not required to put in or model the tiny little detail elements like the angle plate and the screw and those things.
Yeah.
Right? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, but what I want to know, the detail items, the 2D stuff, you want us to do them and put
right. No. We're not going to put in those in this model. In 3D modeling, all we need is a 3D model. We're not generating drawings from this model.
Just
right.
wondering.
Right. That's what I was saying. Next semester, when you do BIM, we're going to do a model kind of like this, but different. And for that model, we're going to be required to do 2D, the annotations and details.
Okay.
All right. So we're doing it one step at a time. All right. Let's continue.
Here, you can see where you have these major floor joists that's running along, and then you have this covering that sits on top of these floor joists that you see here. And then now you have the next upper floor walls that's sitting on top of the finished flooring. So this is how we're going to construct it. So we're going to put these main floor joists in 3D, but we're not going to put all of these individual pieces of timber here. We're just going to summarize our 3D model into only having the major elements. Remember, we spoke about that. So in some cases, we might need to have modeled all of these members individually, but rarely. Usually what you do, you kind of average it, and then if you need to create construction drawings, you cut a section and then you detail the members individually. So we will not be modeling every single member here. only the main floor joist that you see here. All right. So now what that would look like for us is that we would have main floor joist members running something like this. As a matter of fact, we might run it the other way actually. So we'll run it this way, and this is just a rough sketch, so just to give you a visual idea of what we'll be doing for these floor members here. And then we'll have a timber stud here that it is mounted to. All right, so that's the general idea. All right, now to get this done, we're actually going to use some tools from the structural section, right? So we are going to, now to do this, let's take a look on the levels that we have. So if I go to my elevation view, I'm going to maybe go to the east elevation. I'm going to hide my site plan again. So I'm going to right click and choose hide elements. There we go. All right, let's see. Okay, let's use this view. Okay.
So this is what most persons should have in their drawing. They should have the building and they should have the site. And what I did here was to group
Okay, so
the site.
let's hide that. Okay, so now that,
so when you group the site, you're able to just hide it when you're creating the model. So all those things don't get into the way.
we have just the building alone, we want to be creating those members on the second floor. Now, these members are actually going to sit on top of this floor here. So what we need to do is we need to create another level. So we're going to duplicate this, copy. I'm going to make it 6 inches. And then I'm going to unlock this here so I can make this one shorter. And this level here will be top of floor joist. So my floor joist is going to be running in this direction. Now, in order to put in the floor joist, we are going to use what's called a beam system. And that can only be done from a plan or 3D view. So I'm going to go to my level 2 view and level 2 floor plan. Again, I'm going to hide this site plan because I don't need it now. So I'm looking at the floor below. That's why it's grayed out. And I'm going to head over to structure, beam system. And if I look in the settings for beam systems, you will notice I'm going to put this on the other side. There we go. So we can get some more space over here. So if you notice, you see the rules. It's going to lay out the beams at a fixed distance. And this is going to be the distance between the beams. So maybe we could do 900 millimeters, so about 3 foot between the beams. It's floor joist, so maybe it would be closer. So maybe 600. It's going to be using a 2x6, which is fine. All right. And it is going to be on, we need to choose what level they will be on. Now we can always draw the structural members first, and then we can put it on a level. Now, if we look at the top, you'll see where it says automatic beam system or sketch beam system. So we're going to go to sketch beam system. When we go there, you can see that it's going to put it on level 2. Actually, we don't want it on level 2. We want it to go on the level that says top of floor joist. So we're going to go to set work plane. And we're going to use the level that says top of floor joist as the level for the beam system. Okay, so now all we have to do is to draw our beam system. So I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to draw a rectangle like that. And I'm probably going to make it go maybe to here. Maybe it will be wider. We will see if we'll make it wider. Now, these two lines that you see here gives an idea of the directions of the beam. So this means that the beams, these two lines that you see here means that the beams will be running in this way. All right, so we're going to choose OK. All right, and our beams are now generated. Now, right now the beams are represented as these lines, And that's because we are using a coarse display, or basically low detail mode. So we can put it to high detail and then we'll actually see the beams. Now we're actually also seeing the labels for the beams as well. Now, if we click on one of these members here, you will see that it says that it is a framing tag. And a tag simply means that it is a annotation. So for example, I can just delete these tags, and a tag is something. So for example, if I go to annotate, you will see there is a tag that's here. And basically a tag is, you can pretty much just tag anything that you click on. So for example, if I hover back on the beam here, it will create back this tag. If I hover over this wall, it will create a wall tag. And any member that you hover over, it will create a actual tag. So let me undo that. So that is what this is. These are just tags. So I'm going to just select all in view and just delete that because we don't need to have the tags for what we're doing. Right. So next semester, we're actually going to use tags and all of these annotative elements to label our drawing, right? But this module is only about 3D modeling. It's not necessarily about drawings. So it's like the year before you concentrated on annotations. This year you're concentrating on modeling, and then next semester you're going to put them all together where you have drawings, where you have annotations and modeling to create something. All right. So, and that's the kind of step-by-step way that we're doing the computing journey. Okay, so let's look at this in 3D. So you can see that is our beam system there, right? And what we may do is we may extend these posts to maybe use it as a mount for these posts here. We'll investigate that a little later. All right. So yes, so we have our system, our floor joist system there. Now we are going to cut a hole here for the stairs later on, but that will not be an issue because remember we used a beam system, so we don't have to manually adjust each of these beams. We can simply just edit the beam sketch that we drew, and we can actually just put a space in here. We can trim this like that, choose OK, and there you go. So now we have a hole that we can work out later for the stairs. And this is the beauty of using the beam system, is because it will automatically be generated when we use it. Okay, so now we're going to put the floor on top. So we're just going to undo this last move here because we're not going to put in the stairs just yet. We can always cut that hole later on. We know the general area for the stairs, so we will refine that as we go on. Now to put on the slab here, we're just going to put a floor slab on top of this. So to do that, well, we can actually go to our side view here. Actually, this is a little lower, so we're actually going to move that down like that. And we're going to create another level. So we're going to copy this and we're going to call this FFL for finished floor level. Oops, we're gonna maybe copy it about 2 inches and we are gonna just break it out so that we can see what we're doing. There we go. And we're gonna call this finished floor level. So this is where our slab is gonna go for the upper floor. So let's go to a floor plan view, preferably. This is our level 2 plan. So we're gonna go to architecture, create floors, and right now this is a 12-inch floor, so we are looking for a 2-inch floor. Here we go, floor finish 2-inch. All right, and we're just going to use the box and we're going to draw our floor finish pretty much inside like this. We do need to set the level, so we're going to make the level be FFL, floor finish level, and choose OK. All right, let's look on that in 3D. All right, there we go. So now we have our floor finish that's sitting on top. And then we have our floor joist that is sitting below. Now, in my case, I do want my deck to go out a bit more to match my sketch, because in my initial sketch and also in my schematic design, I had it where my balcony was pretty much going way over to a greater overhang. So I'm going to edit the sketch here, and I'm going to extend it by, I'm going to move this by another, let's make it 900. Yeah, it's okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for my beam system. So notice I can select the individual beams. So for example, if I really wanted to hide this, if I really wanted to extend, if I really wanted to place this beam at the very end, I can use tab to tab into just a single beam, and I can actually align it. Oh, right now it's locked actually, so I would have to unpin it. There we go. And now I'm able to move that beam individually. But the great thing is that it is still a part of the beam system. So let me unlock that, and I'll use my align tool and just align it like that. Now I'll go into the beam system and I'll go to edit boundary. There we go. Choose OK. Oh, because I unlocked this one, so now this one is all manual, but that's okay. I can just extend it. All right. So now pretty much I will have another column. So I'm gonna align this with this edge here. Okay. What I should actually do is just copy all of this, and then I could use a view. If I can't see below, I could go to my options for the view, and I could say for underlay, I could say let me see all the way down to bottom of foundation. So that would allow me to see all of these. Now, notice that I still can't edit this from this view. I can actually overwrite that by going down here and saying, allow me to select, let's see, underlay elements. So I turn that off, and now I'm able to select these guys. There we go. Okay, this goes all the way to the edge in here. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna copy this to the other side. There we go. And I'll turn that back. Let's go back to the 3D view now. All right, great. So now all I need to do is to set this column, is to set the top level to be finished floor. And same thing for this. All right, so now I have my members here. Now I do think this column needs to be more based on how high it's going. So we're gonna have to edit that as we go on. Okay, so now we're ready to continue with our walls. Now with the walls, it's pretty much the same formula as the ground floor, where we just carry the walls using the frames. So we could actually select, I'll just select these two walls for now, and I will go to copy, and then I can actually go to paste, align to selected levels, and I can now paste this the finished floor level. There we go. So now we have paste. Right, so what I did here, guys, was just copy and paste the wall. Now remember how we created the wall below, right? Our wall system, we actually use a curtain wall to create the internal studs. And then we put two additional walls on the outside and inside. So I just selected copy, and then instead of just choosing paste, I choose paste to a different floor. And that way it pasted the exact wall in the exact position, but just at a different height. All right. All right, so now we just need to continue. Now this wall here on this side is going to be aligned with here, actually. So I'll use a top view, and I will copy this over here. I will paste it in the center. Oops, meant to paste this in the center like that. Let's go back to 3D view. There we go. Then we're gonna cut this down. Come on, there. And we do the same thing for this wall. Let's go to a floor plan. We can turn off the underlay and set the underlay to go to, let's go to level 1 lower. There we go. So now it doesn't look so confusing, and we can copy this there. All right, so we pretty much have our upper floor walls done. And then we're going to have the balcony that is going to be around this edge here. Now, we're not going to worry too much about the openings just yet, right? We're going to put in our roof first. So if I go to a side view here, let's see, we can go to this side. Yes. So if we go to this side, actually this is the back. That's right. So generally we would want to have a roof that kind of goes like this, and then it would be supported by these columns that are coming all the way from the ground floor, right? And then we would have our balconies that does something like this. Yeah. So that is pretty much it. And then we're gonna work on filling in these areas above where we have the walls, right? Okay, so let's do that. Now, to get our roof, we're actually gonna draw the roof, but we're gonna use the top floor plan to do this. Now, to do this, we're gonna need another level, right? And so we're going to copy another level up. We don't need a floor plan for this level either. So we're just going to copy it because we already have an upper floor, but we need to have another level that we can use for the roof level, right? So I'm going to copy this level here. There we go. And I'll call this top of wall plate, right? Because this would be the top of that wall plate there. And actually, these are not on the same height, so we need to fix that. So let's highlight all the walls here, and let's go use the filter option to select only walls. All right, so question, has anybody here used the filter option before?
No, sir.
Okay, I wanted to highlight this for you guys. I'm gonna just use come on, oops. Right, I'll just use a random model. Come on, Revit. Right. So for example, this is actually the Revit sample model that comes with Revit. All right, so let's say that I want to select only these windows here. And I could try and draw a box. Oops. Yeah, sorry, I'm moving it. I could try and draw a box over it like this, but it's going to select other stuff. And additionally, suppose I want to also select this window in the back. So what I can do is I can just draw a box and select everything like that. And it's going to select window, railings, people, furniture. It's going to select a bunch of stuff, including the windows that I want to select here and here. So what I can do now, I can go to filter up top, and filter is going to show me these are all the things that I have selected. I have selected 12 curtain panels, 2 doors, 12 pieces of furniture. These are everything that I select. So I want to say none because I don't want to select none of these. As a matter of fact, I only want to select windows. So when I choose OK, then notice that I only have the windows selected. Pretty cool, right? Do you guys understand the filter tool?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So use that to help when you're selecting stuff. Let's continue. And we're going to make sure that we set the top constraint to top of wall plate. And we're going to put the top offset to 0 because we don't want it to offset from the top. All right, good. So now everything is on one level, I think. Yes, this one is there as well. All right, and let me check yes, everything is there. All right, so now what we need to do is do the roof. So to do that, we're gonna go to a plan view, and we're going to, this is the level 2 that we're on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to architecture, then we're going to go to roof. And the way that the roof is drawn, it's drawn by sketching. So we're going to sketch the outline of the roof. So we're going to start from, let's start from here. So this is the outline of the roof. We could, let me do that. When we're drawing the roof, we could actually set offset, which is the overhang. So we could set a 2 foot over. So now when we draw it, we automatically get a 2 foot overhang like that. All right, so how this works is that we need to now define what the slope is for each one of these edges, because the way how Revit works is, if you can imagine that you had a hip roof. So let's say we had right now, this is creating a hip roof. And the reason that it's doing that is because this symbol defines a slope, which is this slope. So it is saying that, hey, I want this line to slope up. Same thing for here. It's saying I want this line to slope up, and I want this line to slope up, and I want this line to slope up. So when Revit puts all of that together, Revit is going to assume that, oh, if you want all 4 lines to slope upward,
I gotta share.
then you must want to get a gable roof, because they're all going to intersect at one point. So if we want to get a roof that just slopes this way, then what we need to do is to erase these other slopes. And then Revit will know that you want a roof that just slopes using this line as the pivot line and slopes upward. So to do that,
Or beam
we're just going to
journey.
select each one of these. So we're going to select this and say no slope. Select this, no slope, and select this and say no slope. So now the only thing that slopes is this line, and it slopes by 36 degrees. So we're going to put that to 25 maybe. Now the thickness of the roof, we can change that afterwards. So we're going to choose OK. And if we look at our side view, we see that it slopes upward. Of course, it slopes from the top of the ground floor. So we need to change the base level of the roof to top of wall plate. So now it slopes upward. I think this angle is a bit too steep. So let's go to edit. Now, if I go to edit from elevation view, it's going to say, hey, you can't edit the slope of the roof in the elevation view actually. So I need to do that from either a 3D view or a plan view. So I want to change this slope to like 15 degrees. It's okay. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more reasonable. All right. So now what we want to do is to change the thickness of the roof. So we're going to choose, now we have some pre-made roofs here, but we're actually going to put structural members as well. So we are going to choose generic, and we're going to go to edit type, and we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to call this roof covering. And we're going to go to structure, and we're going to make this 2 inches. Say okay and okay. All right, so now this is 2 inches. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to put the same structural system and attach it to the roof. So to do that, we actually need to, there are a couple ways we can do it. So let's go to 3D view. So we could attach a structural system to the slope of this roof, and that way we can get the beams to slope with the roof. So let's try it that way. All right, so let's see if we can do this in a 3D view. So we're going to go to structure. We're going to go to beam system. Before we go any further, we're going to set a new work plane. And for this work plane, we're going to choose pick a plane, and we are going to pick the underside of this roof like that. So now the beam system is using the underside of the roof. So then I'm going to go to sketch my beam system, and I can actually just sketch on the underside of this roof because I made it the work plane. There we go. And I can see that my beams are going to go this way, and I'm going to use the 2x6. I could also choose a thicker member if I wanted to. I would have to load more lumber in. So for example, if I wanted something apart from a 2x6, I could go to insert and go to load family. Then I would choose structural framing. I think go to wood, structural framing. Let me go back to structural framing under wood. And then I'm looking for dimension lumber. And when you load that, you see these other ones here. So I could do a 2x12. And now that that's loaded, I can change this to 2x12. And the distance is 600. And yeah, so then I'm going to choose yes. And there we go. So we now have our structural members. In this case, it being the roof joist. All right. Now, the next thing we would normally do is we could allow these walls to automatically meet the top of the roof. There are two ways we could do that. We could actually use the profile and edit the profile, or we could click on the wall and we can go to attach top base, top or base. So we're going to teach this and we could just actually choose here and then it would attach itself to the top of the roof like that. Right, so when it is attached to the roof here, you can see that is what is happening in the background. Now, the thing is, in reality, you would really have one of these members on top of this here, and then this wall plate would be attached to the underside of the one of these roof joists. The thing is, you can't use the attached top or base to a joist, but there is some other things we can do, so we're gonna undo that. Now, of course, we could go in and draw our profile, and we could actually draw a wall profile that is to this angle, and I mean that would be okay. But let's try something else that is new. We're going to use a reference plane. So let's go to our side view here, and we're going to go to the architecture tab, and we're going to say reference plane. And what a reference plane is, it is simply a plane that is referenced. It is a work plane. Think of it as a work plane. So remember how we have work planes. And if we define a work plane, then that becomes the base on which we draw, we work. So a reference plane is like a custom work plane. You can. So do you guys know what is a work plane? Anybody here that has always been confused by this notion of a work plane in Revit? Kimberly, do you know what a work plane is? Are you there, Kimberly? Yeah. What was that?
Sir,
Was that
what you said, sir?
Do you know what a work plane is in Revit?
Sir, that is like the surface used as the origin for the view of a
All
sketch.
right.
Person.
Okay, good. Exactly. So a work plane is simply the plane that we work on, right? And work planes can only exist in certain dimensions. So for example, if every level in Revit is a work plane, right? So if you are working on level 1, then that work plane is flat, and then you are extruding upward, or you're drawing on top of that work plane. So a reference plane is like a work plane, but you can set it to any angle that you wish, right? So they are usually helpful. For example, if you wanted to model something on the side of a wall, or you wanted to model something at an angle, right? Then you could use a reference plane to do that. All right. So for example, I've now drawn a work plane at an angle. So if this were my current work plane now, I could extrude from it, I could draw on top of it, I can do all kind of things with this work. So I can I can give it a name as well. So I'm going to call this underside of joist. And now what we're going to do is we can actually, so let's go to 3D view here. We can actually select the wall, and we're not going to see the reference plane in 3D. So we'll have to do this perhaps from a 2D view. Let's go back to our 2D view. Right. So we're going to say attach, and then we're going to choose this reference plane. So now I'm getting this message because it's saying that remember that this wall is we have edited the profile of this wall. So it's just telling us that some of the elements in here might be deleted because of the profile. All right, so let's attach the other wall now. So I'm using tab, that's this wall. Attach the reference plane. All right, so if we go to 3D now, there we go. Now, of course, we would adjust these members to line up with that. Before we do that, let's just adjust this one here. Just drag this up and snap it to here. All right. Now, what we could do is we could select this member here, and we could unpin it. That's one option. So we could unpin it. Let's see if we can copy it. Yeah, but if we're going to copy it, we probably would have to do it from a top view. That would be best. So we could just do it in 3D view. We could go to top view and go to wireframe. Maybe this would be too confusing. So we could actually hide the roof and see. Now we're able to see the top. So this is the one here. So we already unpinned it, and we can actually copy this here, and I can copy it now. Okay, let's look back in 3D view now. Oh, we are in 3D view. All right, so you can see where I made a copy of that one to be sitting on top right there. It's actually 3 members that I placed here. So maybe we could get rid of this one. All right, so we're gonna go to the unhide tool, which is down here, and we're gonna unhide this roof. Unhide. There we go. Now, additionally for the roof structure, we normally have some LATs that are running the opposite way as well. Now, to do that, we can actually just duplicate this system to create that one. So I can find the beam system by pressing tab. There it is. Then I'm going to choose copy, and then I'm going to choose paste to same place. So now I have 2 exact beam systems on top of each other, but now I'm going to go to edit boundary, and I'm going to say define beam direction to go this way instead of that way. And then I choose OK. And now you can see I have a set of beams running the opposite way. Now, obviously, we don't want to use the same size beams. So we're going to have to go to insert family, load dimension lumber, and I see 2 by 3 is the smallest one, and choose OK. All right, so for this beam system, we're going to change that to 2 by 3, and you can see this is much smaller. Now, this could be how it is built, because we could cut notches out of this timber here, but usually it sits on top of this member that's here. So to do that, right now this is attached to the underside of this roof member here. So we would need to attach the beam system to some reference planes. So we're going to use the same reference plane concept as before. So we're going to go to architecture. Let's save. Now, one important point to note is that reference planes can be used pretty much interchangeable as levels, but one of the differences is that reference planes, you can have them at an angle, whereas levels you can't. So that's just a quick pointer. Now I can go to create reference plane, and I can draw a reference plane here like that, and I can name this beam roof joist reference. I could copy this again. What's the distance here? And I could name this reference plane lath reference plane. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to find out this height here. So this is 64 millimeters or 3 inches, right? So I actually want to go the opposite way, really. I want this to be 3 inches away from this. So now I can select, I can select this. I can select the beam system for, can I do that? I can't do that from a side view. I need to do that from a plan view. So let's select the beam system for the floor joist. And we're going to say edit work plane. And we're going to say not pick a plane because we can't see the reference plane. So we're going to choose edit work plane. And we're going to attach this to roof joints reference plane, which it won't move. It shouldn't move. But then we're going to go to the beam system for the lath. And we're going to go to edit work plane. And we're going to say put that to lath reference plane. And now see that now sits on top. Actually, I need to edit that some more. So let's go to the side view to change this. Right. So we can actually move the reference plane and it will move here. So for a dimension, this should actually be 64 millimeters. There we go. Then we can actually move the roof to this reference. All right. Now I think what's happening here is that we had one of the members still attached to the let's see these guys here. So we want to attach, no, we want to attach this one to roof joist reference plane. There we go. All right. So now you can see that we have, now we still have these ones here because we actually broke the link off with these. So let's remove them for now. Right. And I think we actually had, right. So this is using the beam system to get these members on. Okay, so now we can actually fix this beam system because we kind of messed with it by clicking on it and going to edit boundary and then choose reset system. So now it will create back all of those members that we edited earlier. Now, I believe what is missing from this, from just a structural, conceptual point of view, is that you would actually have a member that runs here and another member that runs the same way at the back. And then that would be responsible for mounting this entire roof system. So we need to get those in because even at the moment now, even though this is a schematic design, it doesn't structurally read correctly because this is not how the roof would be able to stand like this. So we need to create 2 beams, and to create a beam is fairly simple. Now we're just going to draw it and then revise it. So we're just going to go to a top view and we're going to go to systems, structure. We're going to go to beam. We're going to choose dimension lumber. And we're going to choose that 2x12. And we're just going to draw a 2x12. I'm going to start from here to here. All right. Now remember, we're not seeing it because it is probably, let me undo that. Right. So let me go again to draw. But I need to determine what level I am on. So right now it is going to be on the level 1 upper, but I need this to be at the top of wall plate. There we go. All right. Now it is actually there. If I go to 3D view, I should see it. Let's see if we can locate it. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, there we go. That's what we're supposed to see. Right. So, okay, so what I want to do is to draw it here, but I think when I draw it there, it is actually attaching to something. That's the problem. So, right, here it is. So let me delete this. So what I need to do now is this was supposed to be, I need to go to edit work plane and I need it to be the top of wall plate level. Okay, so there we go. So now it is at the top of wall plate level, which is right here, if you remember. So if we go to the side view now and let's go to full detail view so we can see it. So ideally, now we could attach it. We could make a reference plane at this point right here. Yeah, maybe that would be a good option. Or we could use a level as well. I think in this case anyone will work. So let me copy a level and put that level right here. And I could call this level wall plate for upper shed support. That's a very long name. All right, good. So now I can go to edit work plane and I can say put it to that work plane, which is up here, and then I can align it to this edge right here. And I'm thinking that there should probably be two of them because it's holding up that massive roof. There we go. So let's go to a 3D view. All right, and that's our member there. This is a 2x6. I want to change it to 2x12, so it's very big. Then I want to also extend it to, I'll just use align. And then now this member here should really be aligned to underneath here. There we go, like that. So we'd probably need another one of these members up here. And then we'll need another one down here actually. So let's use the side view here. I think I want to copy this again. And this time I'm going to stick it down here. And then I'm going to name this one. Yes, I know this name is already there. I'm going to name this one wall plate for lower shed support. Good. And then I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to paste, align to selected levels and align it to here. So it should paste here and I'll just align it over here. All right. So now I have a member that is here. There we go. We have a member that is here and a member that is up here. All right. So now we can deal with the openings, which is the simpler parts. So the openings are the same business as usual. We do want to have an opening here. So yes, I'm gonna go to edit wall profile and I'm gonna draw it like this. A second, I think I messed this up. Let's do this again. Right, and we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Actually, we do need to have a column here in this area. So we could just edit the wall plate, sorry, the profiles appropriately. I'm gonna copy this 4 inches. The same for this side. All right. So now it's just a matter of putting back the wall coverings to cover these areas here. We could do this from a plan view, but I think I'm gonna just copy this because it already has the windows from the previous plans. No, I can do one of two things. I could use elevation view, or I could say copy and paste, align to selected levels, and I could paste it to the finished floor level. There we go. Not exactly, but that's okay. So I would need to go to reset profile. There we go. Right. And I would also need to go to this and delete this because we don't have a window here anymore. We just have these two windows. So I'm going to remove the base offset. That's good. Then move these windows down. Now we need to do the same thing for here. Or we could actually copy this. So I'm going to mirror it. Let me see what my work plane is. That's the problem. My work plane is there. So I need to change my work plane. I'm going to change my work plane to finished floor level. Yeah. If you ever get in trouble mirroring something, it's probably because the work plane is not aligned properly. So here we go, mirror. There we go. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for this one. We're going to copy it and we're going to paste align to selected levels. Oops, maybe I didn't do that right. Copy. There we go. Then we're going to remove the base offset, and we could actually use the arrow keys to move this window. So that's a neat trick. And then we're just going to mirror this for the front. For this, we're going to do the same thing here where we attach, and we need to do this in an elevation view. So we're going to select this one here and say attach to reference plane. Oops, there we go. Attach. Cut this side. We're going to do the same thing. Yes, we also need to get some openings up top, but we can look on that a little later. And oops, we're just trimming these corners. Okay, now we need to edit the profile. Or we could have inserted an opening as well, but the profile is the easiest thing to edit here because we can see the opening behind. Okay, and we're just gonna edit this one as well. All right, so if we go to our shaded view and let us unhide the site. All right, so this is where we are now. So we've now added the upper floor walls. We've added the slab. So next we will have the stairs and the railings. So, and we can actually tidy up these parts here by increasing the height. We'll have to change the profile if we want to change this one here, but that's okay. This, I think I like that effect. All right. So this is where we are now. Oh, these members are supposed to go all the way up to the top actually, and we're supposed to use larger members for these here. So if we go to the side, we could, I believe, can we extend it to the, yeah, we can actually extend it to the reference plane. So plate for upper, oh wait, let's do that again. Let's do both, and we want to set the upper level to wall plate for upper support. It's up here, but we need it to go higher. So we could go a top offset of about 1 foot. Make that 2.5. There we go. Then we also need to use bigger members for these. So this was a 6" by 6". So I would go to duplicate and I would make maybe 10" by 10". So I would need to go to here and I need to make that 10 inches. 10 inches. Okay, so now this is much thicker. All right. Okay, so we are making some progress. Okay, so next we'll deal with the railings and the stair, and then we probably have to deal with the interior as it relates to the, we need to have a stair on the inside as well, and we need to have a little wall here so we don't drop in between those spaces that is here. All right, so it's looking a bit similar. Maybe there are some things that we ended up changing from the schematic design, but that's okay. Okay, so that is where we are at currently. Okay, so
Sir, you're not hearing you, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thanks for that. Right. So I was saying that I told you that this one would be a little short because I think the longest hurdle is creating the walls, right? So I want you guys to use the time to catch up on where we are. Now, before you go, I want to see if I can post these grades, which it does look like it's working now. It was giving me some trouble yesterday. Ta-ta-da. So I'm just gonna update the website with this, if I could get to it. All right. Now, as usual, I'm gonna put this recording on so you guys can check the recording. This time around, I'm going to give you the full recording because last week I purposefully only taught you how to build a wall. And then I said, go forth and use this method to build the rest of the walls. Now, has any of you have been having trouble building the walls with what we covered in class?
Sir, the
Yes, sir.
windows.
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
I
all
didn't
right.
get to do nothing.
Who's that?
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post my experience or my tutorial rather for drawing the windows and the doors. So I'm hoping that it will help you guys out. All right. Is that a question or is that a unmuted mic? Right. So I'm hoping that that would help you guys out. So I will post that version as well. There we go. Modeling and second. What I'm doing now is I'm just trying to post these grades. We're posting student grades. Student grades. All right. All right, so let's see if that worked for you guys. All right, so if you already have the website up, am I sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Okay, hold on. Okay, cool. All right, you seen my screen okay, guys, right? Guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So if you have the website up already, I want you to just hit refresh, F5 or refresh, and then you should be able to click the grades tab, and yes, the grades should come up. All right, great. So this is what you should see. If you're not seeing it, just hit refresh. Now, how this works is for class participation. Remember I said that we're doing some activities throughout the module. So the schematic sketch that we did in class is a part of a class participation, right? So if you did do it and submitted it on that day, then you get a yes here, right? Now we have our second class participation is already passed. What was that again? That was the creation of the foundation, right? No, it was the creation of the site. So if you created the site on the day that we did it in class and submitted it and you have that timestamp, then you will get another point here. Which should be class activity 2. I haven't marked it yet, so that's why they're just titled class activity, because as I said, we're gonna randomly have these class activities throughout. The third class activity we did was last week when we did the 3 wall types in class. So if you did that and submitted it on that day, then you will also get the point here. And that's how we're going to do it for the rest of the semester. Now, just because you see activity like 4 here, 5, it doesn't mean that we're only going to have 5 activities. Some years we have 5, some years we have 10. It varies. Like we'll just come to class and we will end up doing something that will become a class activity. And if you submit it on that day, then you get the point. Now, there is no class activity today, right? So, right. As it relates to the checkpoints, all you do is scroll to the right. So for example, for checkpoint 1, these are the different criteria, right? I already marked the schematic sketch. So you're not going to see your final checkpoint 1 total grade yet because the schematic part of it, I need to also insert those grades. So like during the week, I'll put this one in. And then we want to checkpoint 2. So I'm going to get these done during this week. Now notice that there's a comments section over here. And usually I want you guys to pay attention to when you look at your ID number, please take a look on the comments. And is it the same ID number? Yes, it's the same ID number for the entire row. So for example, suppose some persons give me, I don't know, a Revit 2026 file, and I don't have Revit 2026. Okay, obviously Revit 2026 hasn't come out yet. But suppose you give me a file that I can't open, then I'm not able to mark it, and I'll just put a comment here that, hey, I can't open your file because it has an error or something. So I want you guys to keep an eye on the comments. Sometimes I'll put things in there like, you know, I noticed you use this method. Why did you use this method? Or like, I'll give you a thumbs up. I will say, hey, great modeling for your roof or interesting design or something. Any comments that I post while I'm marking, I'll put it there, right? If it is something that is like personal, then I'll just reach out to you individually. But these are just general comments, right? And you just scroll to the right. So you can get an idea of what the different criteria is for the rest of the checkpoints. Some of them might change slightly, but for the most part, most of them are supposed to be here. So you can use these criteria to make sure that you are submitting what will be marked. All right. I will also add the presentation grade to this sheet. I'll probably squeeze it in the middle here or somewhere. Yeah, I'll probably squeeze it right here. So you guys can look out for that. Because I have marked some of them already. Basically, I marked them while we're doing the presentation. Right? So so far I've marked up to groups 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, up to group 6 is there. And pretty much everybody is doing well. I don't expect you guys to fail the presentation. I mean, unless you just don't do it. So I expect the presentation to be, you know, free marks for everybody because you just need to present and you're all good. Okay, so I think that is it for the main part of this class. We spoke about the grades. We spoke about adjusting the deadline date for checkpoint 3 so that we can have everything move up. Remember, these dates I have set at the beginning of the semester. And this is why I put this disclaimer here that it's liable for adjustments because I don't know what will happen throughout the semester apart from what I planned for. So that is one change that is coming with checkpoint 3. It's going to actually be shorter, and it has to do that because of your design, your final crit. I just made an assumption. When is your final crit? I didn't know at the time of setting this. So I want you to please check this timeline so you know what is happening next. And you can keep up to date with everything. All right. Now, there is 25 minutes left for the class, guys. Please, please, please try and get your models completed. Right? And as you get the models completed, I am doing the same thing as well. So you guys are supposed to keep up. You guys are supposed to be at the same position that I am with my model. Right? So this is currently where my model is at. If you are not at this point, then you are still in the yellow or red, depending, right? You have an opportunity to catch up because checkpoint 3 is pretty long. It's almost like 4 weeks long. So, and there's a holiday that comes in the middle of while you're doing checkpoint 3. So please use that opportunity to make sure you have it. Because after checkpoint 3, it's just downhill. Everything is like a week. Because to generate images, it doesn't take that long. To render the animation, it doesn't take that long. So pretty much after checkpoint 3, it's like the major project is done. And as you can see, it is 50% A grade, guys. So you want to get the maximum for this so that you can pass with flying colors. All right. All right. Is there any questions or anything else? Any other comments that anybody else has regarding this? Any questions? How is your models going? Like, anybody have any trouble with creating their model?
Sir, I was having an issue with applying like the materials when I was creating the walls. So when you were showing us how to do those 3 stud walls, in one of them to apply the material, you went to the graphics. But when I went to graphics on Revit, it was just blank. There was nothing there for me to like select in order to apply anything.
Oh, okay. Okay. For the 3 walls. Okay. All right. That is no problem. I mean, I could. Well, definitely the answer to your question is gonna be in my my recording of doing the walls, I think. Yes, but just to kind of answer that for you same time here. So for example, I would say that there are 2 ways. Let me put this to light mode so that we can see what we're doing. Right, there are kind of 2 ways to apply materials in general. So for example, if you have a wall here, I'm just going to draw a wall like this. I would say that I wouldn't say proper, but the official way to apply a material, or I would say the best practice way, is by going into your edit type. Oh, I guess my screen is probably a bit small, but hopefully you can see. Right. So you go to edit type here, and then you build up your structure. And then your structure is simply, you're determining how many layers does this wall have. So, and every layer you give it a material. So for example, this wall here just has 1 layer. Let me make this a little bigger for you. Let's try 250. All right. Can you see the text here?
Yes, sir, I'm seeing it.
Right. So this wall that you see in here in the background, it just has one structure here. And the material, it doesn't have any material, and the thickness of that one structure is 8 inches. So for example, I could say, okay, I want to give this structure a material. If I press the little 3 dots here, the material comes up. And let's say I want to give it, I don't know, just pick something weird like a type of wood shake, and choose OK. Now the structure will have this wood shake material. And if I choose OK here and OK here, you would see the wood shake material here. Now, when you choose a material, so let me go back to structure, and let me choose back wood shake again. Every material has 2 different ways how it is displayed on your screen. So you have the graphical way, so meaning that when you look at the surface in your drawing, this is the pattern it will have, which is what you're seeing here. And this is the color of that pattern. So for example, I could change this pattern to brick, and then it would have a brick pattern, and I could change what that color is to, I don't know, blue or something. So it would display as that. And I could choose apply from here, and you will see a preview here, right? So now the other thing is that under appearance, this is what it would look like. So when it is rendered, this is what it would look like. And to see what that looks like, well, now I change it to brick, which is a little weird. But anyway, if I go to shaded view, no, not shaded. If I go to rendered view, the textured view, then you see this is the texture it will have. And on those materials are based on what you chose in the structure of the wall. So for example, let's say I want to add an outer structure. I could say insert new structure. So now I have two structures here and here. One is the original wood shake that I changed to brick, and the other one is blank. Now I can move this structure up by one. So now it is on one side of the structure. And let's give that a material. So let's make that wood birch. And if I look at graphics, this is what wood birch looks like when it is cut in section. On plan, it doesn't have a look. So it's just going to be white. It's not going to have any texture. So I could give it a wood texture like that. So this is what it would look like. And the color of it, I'll make it black. So this is what the graphics would look like. This is what the render would look like, right? And I'm going to choose OK. Then what is the thickness? Because right now it's 0. So I'm going to make it, let's make it 2 inches. So now I have the structure. I know I'm going to change this from structure, and I'm going to call it finish, because the structure is really what is inside the wall. So now I have a layer that is called finish. It has a wood material. It's 2 inches thick. And I can even preview this over here. So you can see that this is that 8-inch wood shake, and then this is that 2-inch wood cover in there. And I choose OK. Now, when I choose OK here, in order to see the different levels made up, I need to show it in high detail. And let's look at it in hidden line. Did I change that? Yes, it is hidden line. If I look at it in plan and look at it in high detail here, right? So you will, let me turn off the thickness. So you will see the different levels here. So this is what it looks like in section, and this is what this looks like in section. Now, if I go in 3D view, in this case, I'm only seeing one covering in 3D. Remember that when you look at it in hidden line, you're seeing what is represented in the graphics. And when you look at it in the shaded view, not shaded, in the rendered view, you're seeing what it looks like in rendered. You're seeing what it looks like in the rendered view. Now, the thickness of the wall is correct, but the reason why I'm not seeing the rest of these here is because I have to now go into and edit my visibility graphics. But I don't want us to dive down so deep yet into visibility graphics, because we're going to do that next semester. For this module, we're just concentrating on modeling. And next module, we're going to go into now BIM drawings. So we're going to go into visibility graphics and setting up templates and all of these things. And that is the reason why I'm not necessarily seeing it in 3D view yet. So I'm going to leave this at this point, and this is how you would apply materials in 3D. Now, when you give me the model for this assignment, I'm not going to be marking for how you arrange your materials in the Revit model. I will be marking for materials in your rendered images. Now, next semester, when we do BIM modeling, I will actually be marking for how you did your structure and how you lay out your material and all of these things this year. I'll be marking for this stuff next semester. But I'm not giving you too much things to consider now. All I want you to concentrate on is the modeling aspect of it. All right. So I don't know if I answered the question. Did I?
For me, yes, sir. But like, so when I try to apply the materials, so like apply is grayed out. So like I can't apply any material at all.
Oh, you mean when you're using the other method of applying materials, which is where is it? It's under modify. Hold on, you mean in the
Sir, when I go to edit type and the same
here,
steps here, it's not working.
like this is grayed out?
Yes, sir. So when I select the wood shading there,
Uh-huh.
and it brings up the other screen, so graphics is just blank. So there's nothing on the graphics as opposed to how I'm seeing shading, surface pattern, and whatever there. I'm not seeing anything on mine. And apply. There, I can't apply.
Are you seeing the materials on the left?
Yeah, I'm seeing the materials on the left, but they all have the exclamation sign.
Oh, yeah. You need to reinstall your Revit. So the content isn't there. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's the content that's not installed. That's why you're not seeing them. Yeah, just reinstall Revit and it should be fine. Or you can download the content. But I think it's better you reinstall it because if you download just the content, I think you're just downloading the families. Whereas this is kind of more built into Revit, I think. So I would say to reinstall it. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, man. There's another method of applying materials, but it's kind of like the quick and dirty way. If you were to do renderings in Revit, you can go to the modify tab and then there's a paint option here, which means that all you're really doing is just painting on top of this surface, literally. You just click a material and click a surface and it paints. Click a surface. Can I click this surface? No, I can click the surface and paint. And it will just paint it on the surface. And this overrides the structure. So it's kind of like, I call it quick and dirty because this isn't organized. You can just like paint over anything you do. But then when you click on this wall and you go to edit here and you go to structure, the structure is not representing what you did here. So it's like you just wrapped a sheet around it and ignored the structure. So, but I wouldn't worry about this method of applying materials because we're not going to be rendering in Revit. All you're required to do in Revit is going to be a hidden line view and an exploded view and a section, and the materials don't matter for those. All right. Anybody else with any questions? Nope.
Sir, opening is based on.
Oh, opening. Oh, you're opening Revit. All right.
Sir, you said that you're going to post the video with when you had problems, because I'm having problems with the Windows.
Yeah. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I kind of wanted you guys to go out adventuring a little bit. Right? So, open with.
Sir, can you check?
So the video
Okay, so
I'll check the
now
message.
that we have
Email.
So, email. Okay, cool.
our foundation
So,
model,
I actually
entrance
go
to our
through this.
building is
Oh, hold on a minute. Is this foundation? Oh, this is
roundabout
right.
at a
Wall.
window, and
Let me mute
if we
this
want to
out.
get fancy,
Right. So, I talk about getting the walls and cutting the openings and some of the challenges that you might meet upon when you're cutting out these openings. All right. And as I said, guys, when I do my model, I try to do it a little bit complex
I'm setting the complexity bar. Like, I don't want you to do it more complex than my model. I mean, it's great that you can take on a challenge if you can manage it, but at the end of the day, I need to give you guys a grade. You need to pass so that you can come back next semester. All right. So I don't want you to take on unnecessary challenges. So you can use my model as a kind of benchmark for, okay, let me not make it more complicated than the example that sir is showing me. Right? If you know Revit, then by all means you can do a wow factor. But the reason I'm trying to tell you this is that just in case you meet up on something that you're trying to solve, hopefully my tutorial will cover it if you have done something within my complexity level. If you haven't, you can always talk to me in class and we can try and figure it out together. But outside of class, you're going to be on your own. So I want you to just consider that when you're creating your model. All right. Yeah. So yes, so as I said, I'm gonna post this one. So it's up to you guys if you want to check this out. If you want to know how to do the walls, and then I'll post today's video afterwards. All right, so I don't know. I guess that is it for today's class. I guess I will be seeing you again on Saturday for our second to last presentation. There are no more topics to unveil after at this class because I've unveiled all the topics. So we're gonna start. Have you guys started your studio final project yet? Housing?
Yes, sir. We're on precedence.
Okay, good. You're on precedence. All right. So what I'm hoping for is by the time we're done with the presentations, you guys would have started to create your model for your housing project. And then we can look on some examples. I'm going to call upon some of you who are using Revit to say, okay, show me where you're at, where your model is at. And we will be like trying to determine, okay, we're going to start to model this multi-story building. We have learned how to do walls and windows and all of these things. I'm going to be like checking your model to see how well you've been following with what we're doing in class. I'm not going to be grading that, by the way. All right. This is just, we're going to use the lecture class to kind of help bolster your model, preparing your models for your design studio. By the way, at the end of the day, guys, you have to have your design resolved in a way. You have to have your design done before you start production. So if you're behind on creating your design in Design Studio, then there's not much I can do to help you if you haven't started the model as yet. So I'm saying that to say, try and keep up with where you're supposed to be in Design Studio. I think, do you guys have a timeline as to when you're supposed to have a finished floor plan? Do you have that decided yet? No?
I think it's next week, sir.
Is that next week? Yeah, okay. So so we are going to start looking on those in like
next week, because based on the schedule, it kind of all the way down the line. Like next week, we're not going to do more. Well, we're not supposed to do more, depending on the lecture, than like spatial planning with massing and so on. Because we're supposed to start doing massing models, and then like the first interim is going to be based on what the schedule that was posted is going to be based on massing models. But every lecturer has a different direction and pace that you're going.
Right. Yes. I get it.
But like, that's what the schedule says.
All right, cool. So usually what we do is we have certain scenarios that we do in the lecture class that you guys will all come across, like a stair tower. How do you do a stair tower in Revit? Assets and furniture. How do you're doing a housing project, I want a particular window and Revit doesn't have it. Like, do I have to create it? Where can I get this, the models? Things like that. We look at those things in the lecture class. So we'll be tackling that after we finish the presentation. All right, and we'll choose the one that is appropriate based on where you are in Design Studio. Now, with that said, we still have our studio-based project, and which is essentially you are going to produce something that you have already created for your design studio. You're going to just submit that in our class. But we haven't gotten to that stage yet. That comes further down in the semester. All right? When you actually have your building up and everything. This is after you have your floor plans resolved. All right. So I'm going to see you guys next time on Saturday. So enjoy the rest of your week and try and keep up with the with our model. Next class we do railings and stairs. All right, so I'll see you then. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right, cool. Take care.